Hi everyone, good morning. So my name is Tuhin and I'm representing ThatWare. So now before beginning my slide, let me tell like how many of you here are using ChatGPT. So just raise your hand. Okay, so it's like almost 99% of everyone. So now the thing is that with the advent of the large language model from I think since the last couple of years, with the predictive AI, with the auto-generated contents and so on, search engines such as Google, DuckDuckGo, Yahoo, Bing. So everyone is being cluttered with number of auto-generated contents, or you can say like predictive AI, or even like innumerous amount of contents every single day. In fact, it has been into the study that almost in a single day, almost 500,000 websites are being made to go live, and this is quite shocking because if you're from a particular genre or from a particular niche, then this is something to worry about because like tons of competitors of yours are generating contents every single day, and this is quite a high time where you need to really focus in providing the most useful benefit to these search engines. Now, in this revolution or the game of search, only the campaigns who does provide most useful information, relevant facts, and helps the search engines to extract meaningful informations will win the game of search, and they would be obviously get an edge over the competition. So having said that, today my topic is cost of retrieval in SEO, which means that how you can help these search engines, their crawlers, their bots, their spiders to extract the meaningful information out of the content. And I do have some do-it-yourself tactics as well, which later you can just go to your IT or dev team and just can get the things done. So I'm going to start about why do businesses need SEO as one of their channels. Now the first thing, as you can see, that the conversion rate of definitely paid ads is a bit higher, like about 3.3% on the global marketing persona, whereas search engines have near about 2.8% in the global marketing channels. But the thing is, SEO is the organic growth where your business can take an organic, like you can say like an organic phenomenon growth where your investment would be a constant factor, and this will retain as long as you can have a sustainable growth on the search engines. Moving down to the next slide. So having this thing, so the problem with the paid ads is that like the ROI is not guaranteed, which means like suppose today if you are bidding on a particular keywords that have like let's say that for getting 1,000 traffic you need to pay about maybe $100. So the another day that cost can go high and higher. So you really cannot control on the return on investment that you can have from a paid advertisement. Whereas in SEO, it's just the game of how well you can rank with the keywords or the search queries, and you can really keep a proper control of the ROI. So moving down to the next slide. So this diagram is very important because the thing is, this is an exact flowchart of how a search engine normally works. So I just focus about just few things. The first thing is that whenever a user gives any query, that query is being identified by the crawler, and that crawler just fetch those pages and renders all the meaningful or extracts all the meaningful information out of that. Now this particular thing is very important because this is the thing where they store the information and then they retrieve the information, and then they produces or sends that to the ranking algorithm based on which the ranking happens and you are shown the search results. So this retrieval of the information is something that is important because if your content is not producing any high level content, or even if your content is not producing any relevancy in terms of the user search query, which happens on the very first place, then this is the point where the algorithms will deny any ranking of your ranking pages and you'd end up losing your spots. So moving down to the next slide. So in traditional SEO metrics, like most of the people here might be aware that backlinks, keywords, bounce rate, traffic, all these are okay. But what people mostly misses out is that the proper efficiency of how much how much hassle they are producing or they are causing the crawlers to retrieve that particular information, and that is a point which most people do misses out. Moving down to the next slide. So, starting with my topic of cost and retrieval. So, what exactly is cost of retrieval? So, cost of retrieval is nothing but this is the amount of cost that any search engines, I'll not specifically for Google, but this can be with any of the search engines in the world, how much burden you're putting them or how much resources the search engines are spending in extracting your informations by overcoming all the technical challenges, or you can say like by understanding the intent of your given content, or even understanding what sort of relevancy does your content provide in a meaningful extract. So having said that, previous slide please. So having said that, you need to ensure that you have a lower cost of retrieval, because if you have a lower cost of retrieval, you do have a higher efficiency, because search engines can really extract the informations more easily and obviously in a more phenomenal way, in a more profound way I must say. And a higher efficiency would definitely lead to a better user experience, because if Google or any of the search engines is able to really understand what your content is speaking about them, they will definitely show that as a one-click result for any given query for that particular niche. And as a matter of fact, your campaign can also be likely to get a good ranking as well. Cost of retrieval can be divided into 4 segments as indexing, query processing, ranking, and delivery cost. So coming down to all of them one by one. So indexing cost. So just imagine that Google is a librarian. So the thing is, suppose if you go to your librarian and if you ask them that, hey, I need this book. So if the books are stored in an orderly manner, then your librarian can just fetch that book easily and just can send it over to you. Similarly, for search engines, if your contents, your landing pages, your YMYL pages, if your pages are stored in an orderly manner, or if they are indexed properly in Google, then search engines can really fetch those properly and they can just show that off whenever some user searches for that. Moving down to the next for the query processing. So once again, think Google as a librarian. Now this time, if the librarian understand, okay, this is the book that we're looking for. Suppose you go to the librarian and you say, hey, today I'm in a mood of reading a comic book, or I'm in a mood of reading a thriller, or XYZ. So if the librarian can really understand your intent, your desire, then they can well select the perfect book for you. Similarly, if your content really speaks the language of the search engines, if that really produces relevancy, if it really satisfies the user intent, this is where the query processing cost gets resolved. Moving down to the next slide, then we have the ranking cost. This time, once again, think Google as the librarian, but this time, just imagine that the librarian stores all the books in sort of relevancy, or I would say demand. Now suppose if you are looking for some breaking news, or like the newspaper for today, or anything that is into the demand, it would be quite easy for the librarian to get and fetch that thing for you, because that's of the most highest priority. Similarly for search engines, if your content serves the most priority or useful information as a facts or abstracts for your user, then Google will definitely give you the better reward. Moving down to the next slide, we have the delivery cost. Now this time, it's very simple. Just think for the last time that Google is a librarian, and this time how hard this is for the librarian to go and fetch that book. Suppose think that there is like the library is a 10-story building, and the book that you want is on the 10th floor and you are standing in the ground floor. So it will be quite hard for the librarian to just go and grab the book and give it to you. So similarly for websites, specifically for e-commerce campaign, for B2B campaigns, for even for B2C as well, by the way. So suppose you have a page with tens of thousands of millions of pages, and suppose for any one of your product pages, that page is not well optimized, that page is hidden down inside, and you are not really organizing the page structure well. So this will be quite hard for search engines to understand where that page is, and this is something that needs to be solved. Moving down to the next slide. Okay, so the first mistake of getting this thing solved is lack of content relevancy. So like most people here, they just focus on using the proper keyword when preparing the content, but what people do not get is for the content relevancy. What I really mean to say is that, so I mean that a topical authority, for example, if you are writing a particular piece of content, make sure that content have proper facts from trusted sources. You can just link back if any of your employees or management or even your directors are from the highest level of the entity, like they have their external sources where they like do share relevant information, then that can act as a proper entity. So if you declare your content to be from a trustful source, and if search engines can understand that your content is from a perfect topical authoritative place, this is where your content gets the highest relevance, and this should stand out in the crowd. Doesn't matter that no matter how many number of keywords you use, that is backdated. Moving down to the next slide. When I'm speaking about poor user experience, there is a lot of things. So the number of unimportant pages that you want to minimize, or having a poor page load speed, or even things like if your site is broken, like you're clicking down on any links and that links is just giving you a 404 error. So the thing is, you really want to make sure that you are providing the best and by far the most good amount of user experience. And user experience does not really mean that how does that look good on the devices, but rather how that user is satisfied while consuming the content. The fast response time, if they are okay with all the alignment, or even with all the contextual rich informations like the images, not too blurry or not too much of the brand, or even how much unique important topic you are providing per page. Then moving on to the next slide. So this is for optimizing the indexing cost. If you remember, we had 4 segments: indexing, query, delivery, and ranking. So starting with the indexing cost. So this might be a bit technical, but let me tell you that the first and the foremost important agenda is to make sure that your campaign is, or your website is indexed. Now let me give an example. Suppose you have written a content, the content is great. It does satisfies all the relevancy, it does satisfies every single parameters, but just imagine that that particular content is not indexed in any of the search engines. Then what's the use? If any user would type any particular queries, that content would not be shown on the search engines no matter what. So the first and the foremost priority would be to make sure that your piece of content is indexed down to the line on the search engines, no matter which search engines you are working for. And the easiest way to do for is sitemap optimization. Now for those who are non-techies here, sitemap is just like a blueprint of a shopping mall. Whenever you enter into a building or a shopping mall, you have the building architecture like the blueprint. So similarly, .xml file is a file present on every website which provides you the right path of every single URLs presented on your campaign, and you can declare the variables like which pages you need to declare as priority, or which pages you just need to like change the frequency, like any kind of modification. So you can instruct search engines what would be the level of indexing rate. And this is very important point, because as a matter of fact, what most SEOs misses out is that people forget to set the priority order. They just set everything to be in the top priority order, which is not true. If you have your let's say your FAQ pages, or your like your return policies, or maybe your any kind of unwanted category pages, trust me, no one really loves to read that. So you need to declare the priority low. Whereas for your top navigation pages, for your top selling products, brands or services, you need to declare those priorities the high. Then if you have images or videos on your website, which I am pretty much sure that everyone does, so they should also be declared as well. 80% people misses out in declaring the images and videos. Then we have the change frequency as well. So there is a parameter your tech team might understand. There is a frequency of change frequency. The problem with here is that sometimes people give daily or weekly or even yearly. Now that needs to be settled out quite confidently. For example, suppose your homepage. Now, if you are in a big, if you are from a bigger brand, your homepage would not likely to be changed maybe for 6 months or for even a year. In that case, that frequency should be labeled properly. Whereas if you are from any particular product pages, that might be changed regularly for new tax informations, shipping charges, products variations, so that might be changed to daily. And if you are from the terms of service or any other genres, then those might not even be changed for a year. So that should be that definitely should be labeled up properly. And one of the second last mistake is that if someone have tens of thousands of pages, one sitemap should not have more than 50,000 URLs or exceeding 50 megabytes. So if you're having a large websites, maybe with millions of pages, you need to break down multiple sitemaps because search engines do not crawl more than 50,000 at one go. And lastly, to remove all the unnecessary pages from sitemap, which you do not want to include in the visibility result. Moving down to the next slide. Once again, cleaning of the internal link, just like I told you before. If an internal link is broken or resulting into some other pages that makes no sense, they should be fixed. Then moving down to the next slide, we have unique topic per page. So this is what you are seeing on the screen is a proper example of how topic modeling works. Now let me explain what topic modeling is. So topic modeling stands for if your website speaks about suppose for example, if anyone of yours sells maybe mobile phones. So mobile phones itself is a single topic. Now your website should be having multiple contents about mobile phones. Now obviously you cannot make other thousands of other websites for maintaining your own brand. In that particular case, you need to break out proper silos explaining, okay, this if your specification is for the RAM, then they can be sorted in the order for the highest versus lowest RAM or lowest versus highest, or maybe the processors, or maybe the pricings, which are can make a sense of the market affordability. So the concept is people should make a proper topic modeling so that none of the topics gets intertwined with each another, so that search engines can be confused sometimes that what exactly this content is trying to mean, because we are extracting some information from this content, whereas we're also extracting some contents from other URLs as well, and they kind of get confused as what they are trying to speak, and it ends up losing down the rank. So this is something which should be a matter of concern. Moving down to the next slide, decreasing the number of unimportant pages. So one of my personal tactics is that every month we do analyze the number of pages which have which yields low traffic or low click-through rate, low impressions or high bounce rate. These four are the most important criteria, and if you see that any particular pages falls under this four criteria, we do either of the thing. We either make a redirection to a nearest meaningful content, or we change that content to something more relevant, or sometimes we might even merge that content with something more similar, because it is very much important that you reduce or minimize the number of unimportant pages, because having your website cluttered with innumerous number of content is not the aim. The aim should be for providing the most useful abstract of the information that search engines do want to consume. Moving down to the next slide. This is just for the page speed, which I talked previously, so the page speed should be good. Everyone knows that. Moving down to the next slide. Once again for the page speed. Moving down to the next slide. Okay. So the thing is that all the URLs should also be properly optimized, because if you are not optimizing the URLs properly, then what would happen is that this can cause an indexing issues. Once again, if your URLs are comprising of any unwanted parameters, hashes, any irrelevant special characters, then they should be filtered out for sure. So then moving down to the query processing cost. So here is the thing. So as you can see, like this comes directly from Google. So Google uses an algorithm named as Pegasus model. So Pegasus is an algorithm. What it does is like it filters out all the abstracts from a content and just focuses on the facts. And this is what I have been speaking for the last 15 minutes, that if you are writing a piece of content, make sure that it involves all actual facts. It can be conceptual as well or from trusted sources, but Google does focus on facts, and this is one of the proof. It comes directly from the patents.google.com, because Google really wants that your campaign should be well enriched with good facts rather than just abstracts from here and there, because this is what makes a rich content look more richer. Moving down to the next slide. So the thing is that if you give clear sentences providing rich and meaningful information, your query processing cost would automatically go down. Moving down to the next slide, like here are a few descriptions, like for example, if you want to do some authorship rules, then you need to focus on few additional technicalities like the anchor text or your meta characters and so on. So one of the most essential things that falls under query optimization is structured data. So as you can see, all this encircled with red, and this greatly helps in reducing the overall cost as well. Moving down to the next slide. Okay. So this is once again, if you want to reduce the delivery cost, for example, how well your pages are seen by the search engines, then sitemap is the answer. You have the screenshot already, so your sitemap should be proper no matter what. Moving down to the next slide. So this is one of the 12 months, like so far what I've shown you. We have performed exactly this for one of our campaign as upperkey.com, which is for one of our clients, and this is the amount of results which you have taken in just a matter of 3 to 4 months. And this is another which is a 6 months, if someone is looking for a sudden growth. So the thing is, guys, like SEO is happening for real, and the competition is like, even after COVID, I would say like every single businesses have been online. The competition is almost 10 times more than what it was before. So the thing is that every single businesses are becoming online every single day. Even by the time I was speaking, there might be several 100,000 campaigns that might have went online. So the easiest way to beat the competition is not to follow the usual old rules of just go on and building backlinks, generating contents, or focusing on keywords. Rather, everyone should focus on generating useful content, providing meaningful abstracts, information, facts, and make sure that your content not only satisfies the Google or the search engines, but also satisfies the user. Because in this revolution, in 2023 and beyond, if you are well able to handle and can really satisfy the user intent, this is where you would get an edge over the competition. Thank you. And today I'm here around, so if anyone has any questions.